with the theme justice or else. So I coined this little phrase, and this is kind of what got me thinking about this. I was thinking about this education situation we have in Philly. And there's this new agreement. City Council has some renewed powers, and there's this stalemate at the budget thing. And every time the school district goes back, somehow every year, even though they say that there's a budget deficit, right? Mm-hmm. Every year, even though test scores are either stagnant or declining, and students who get a quote unquote education in the public school systems of Philly and across this nation are by all accounts getting not smart. They're getting, I don't want to use the word dumber. They're not that schools are having a deleterious impact on the minds of black children across this nation. Let's be very clear about it. Just what we need to know, we don't know. It's murdering our minds. And I think but every year schools keep getting money. And they end up in a shortfall, but they get more and more money. Like school, it's a $2.6 billion budget. So I thought about this thing. I was like, wow, if they continually reward your failure, then your failure must be their reward. I'm going to say that one more time because I love that. And I just think that that's brilliant even.
Somebody needs to make a quote out of that.
Somebody got to, mean that joint up.
Yeah.
If they continue to reward your failure, then your failure must be their reward. And I really want people to grasp their brain around it because somehow, some way, school, when I went to school, I guess it was a $900 million budget. Then it went up to $1 billion. And you're like, wow, it's $1 billion. $2.6 billion. Next year it's going to be, and somehow, some way, they're going to operate and spend that money. And your children are still going to be dumb. I just want to call it what it is, because I'm not saying we're dumb. I'm saying that we subject our children to a dumbification process. And it's doing what it's designed to do. It's making our children non-competitive. It's making them self-hating. And it's giving their minds, their control of their minds over to our enemies, our oppressors, right? And we keep saying we got to fix the school system. I'm saying, hell no, we don't. It's broke. It's not broke. It is doing what it was designed to do. And what it was designed to do is to continually make our children failures and non-competitive. Yes. How do I know? Because the more our children fail, the more our children become non-competitive, the more money the school system gets. I don't care what theatrics they have to go through to get it. Somehow, some way, every year, they end up with billions of dollars to continue to make our children stupid. And it's very clear to me that if they reward your failure, then your failure must be their reward. It must be the end goal of the game. And so one of the fundamental problems we have in any conversation we want to talk about as black people, about getting back on top and black power and black liberation, black empowerment, is who controls your head. Mm-hmm. And can you get to that place of power and self-control and self-determination when other things control our heads? And so I think that those of us who are African-centered, those of us who are talking about black power, we keep skipping over the fact that we don't control our head. That the American, in honor of my Bob Adele, one of my many mentors, one of the major influences on my life as an African-centered man, he coined the phrase, and I love it because it's so functional, that the American nigger factory. And he talks about religion. And he talks about education. And I add, he talks about religion. He talks about education and media. I add religion and social services as part of the American nigger factory, that process where we give our heads over to these entities and wonder why our children walk around like they do. Wonder why pants are sagging and we call ourselves the N-word and we represent in the world and we don't know Africa and we don't know our history. It's because they control our head. And we have to stop giving over, ceding control of our brain, our consciousness, our mind over to people who we know their reward is our failure. So when a brother asks about our sisters marching children to the schools, yes, I say it's not about our sisters, it's about our people. That's we keep marching. We march every Sunday. We march every Friday. We march every Monday morning into places that we know are predicated on us being inferior and that culture or the concept that is raising up being superior. I don't care whether it's Christianity. I don't care whether it's Islam. I don't care whether it's Judaism. I don't care whether it's First Day Adventist or Seventh Day Adventist. I don't care whether it's public education. I don't care whether it's the job, the workplace. We march willingly into places that are designed to turn us into inferior niggas. Mm-hmm. And so the question is, when I ask people who owns your head, I want to know what you listen to when you listening to music, right? Yes. I want to know what you watch when you watch television. When you search YouTube for videos, what are you looking at, right? If I go right now and snatched your laptop and hit your history, right? What's popping up? Are you going to clear history because you don't want somebody to see the websites and stuff that you go to? Mm-hmm. Or would you be proud because that's how I can tell. That's how anybody could tell who owns your head. Because it's a matter of who you give your head over to. And so I love it. I use the European concept of going through a divination and a process to figure out which Orisha owns your head. From what space are you thinking? From who controls your consciousness? Because if I can figure that out, then I can figure out you. And we don't spend enough time asking and answering the question, who owns your head? So that's the question I put on the table right now. If you want to join the conversation, 215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900. Who owns your head, Isaac Patterson 6?
So I'll say who owns my head first is, I want to say the idea of the Brainiac. And the idea of the Brainiac is actually, Brainiac is a villain from Superman who just absorbs knowledge.
Okay.
And basically his whole goal
to what end though?
To the end of, basically the end of the universe. That's
okay.
The whole thing. He absorbs knowledge and then he destroys whatever the thing was. I'm not saying I'm going that far, but who owns my head is the Brainiac idea that all you want to do is absorb knowledge.
Okay, who owns your head, Joy McFadden? 27?
Yes, I'll be 28 soon, by the way.
So you're a 27-year-old Afro-American?
Yes.
Who owns your head?
Can I first say that growing up as a kid, you are told who you are, right?
Okay.
And then as you grow up, you start to know who you are. You start to evolve into your womanness or your manliness, whoever you are. So as I evolve into my womanhood, I know that Afro-American ancestry has my head.
So where does that take? Where do you end with that? If you're claiming the dichotomy that is African American, right? Which again is brought about. I know there are many people who are going to say, "Hey, we were here before slavery." I got you. Mm-hmm. I'm with it. The identity of African American or Afro American is brought about as a result of a trauma. The single biggest, greatest trauma in world history, right, in my opinion. So when you talk about who owns that head, it's and I think part of our problems is that we're bifurcated, right? We're divided, right, about who owns our head. Mm-hmm. And so that's bipolar, right? So I'm not calling you bipolar, Joy, by the way.
I understand
or
that.
manic depressive or schizophrenic. I am saying pick who owns your head, though. Because if both own your head, I don't know what the implications of that are.
Both don't own my head. I'm aware of the struggle that we went through, and that makes us stronger as African Americans. Mm-hmm. So I say that African Americans hold my head because we became stronger through that evolution, and we owned our togetherness.
Okay, so you're going to claim both of them. Okay. All right, Philadelphia Flyer, Michael Magabet, who owns your head? Take that cap off when you answer this question, because right now the Flyers seem like they own your head.
It's hard to say, man. Of course, at the root,
that's our problem. It's hard to say, and so it doesn't. Whatever you claim. But the fact that it's hard to say for us is really the issue I'm getting at. We got to be very clear about who owns our head, because a lot of our confusion in organizing and mobilization stems from the fact that we don't vet this question enough, and therefore we have expectations of people that maybe we shouldn't have if we understood where their allegiance lie, who owns their consciousness, who controls how they think. And the fact that we don't delve in and make this a tangible thing that we can touch and feel and know leads to a lot of confusion. Who owns your head, Michael Macabeth?
I mean, I would say at the core, of course, my allegiance is to my people, whatever, because we all want it to be, you know, happy-go-lucky and everybody, this one world thing and it's all love, but it's I don't think it's ever going to be that way. Until we evolve to that point, then I can let that go or whatever. But my thing is, why I say it's hard to say, as far as with knowledge, like the tag onto what Isaac was saying, there's lies in everything. So it's like when, like I said on the computer, be like researching stuff. Everybody tells, like even our ancestors told some lies, like, you know. So
and
it's like
that's why
you just want
that's
truth.
why allegiance is important, because everybody tells their story, right?
Yeah.
And you got to figure out which story is yours that you're going to adopt as your operational framework. As you know, we were talking about the computer thing, right? Macs and Apples and Windows are different. Right, you got an Android, somebody else got an iPhone, they're different. So the operating system that controls all the functionality in them might be powerful as in a Mac or iBook, but it's not going to work in an Android. Right? So we got to know who's controlling the operating system, and then we can figure out what we can expect. That's the question I want to ask our listening audience. When we come back from the break, the question on the table: who owns your head? How do you know? And what are the manifestations thereof? 215-634-8065. Again, that's 215-634-8065.